Welcome to Natural Habitat Adventures Daily Dose of Nature. I'm your host, Sunny Vanderstar. Today's topic is protecting the petrel, seabird conservation in the Galapagos. And it will be presented by our fabulous NatHab expedition leader, Jonathan Guillen. Jonathan, thank you so much for being here today and for bringing us with you to the Galapagos for the next hour. Let's go ahead and dive in.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan. I am an expedition leader in the Galapagos Islands. I've been working as a tour guide and naturalist guide in the Galapagos National Park as well. And a little bit more information about my background. Thanks to WWF, I was able to get a scholarship, and I have a bachelor in environmental management. So during my career of studies, I've been working on different projects related to conservation in the Galapagos National Park. I've been working so far currently with seabirds. So far, I've been working since 2013 with the Galapagos petrel, a critical endangered species from the Galapagos Islands, which I'm going to explain you in detail in a little bit more. All right. So before I start the explanation about the endemic Galapagos petrel, I would like to give you some information about the Galapagos Islands in general, and then I'm going to go a little bit more in detail about the information that I have for you today. So the Galapagos Islands, it is a group of volcanic islands which are located in the Pacific, in the Eastern Pacific Ocean, right 600 nautical miles to the west from Ecuador Republic. This group of volcanic islands are a national park since the 1959. We have islands with inhabitants. We have a marine reserve on this location, and that it is why it's important to protect the species here. All right. So the Galapagos Islands have different locations. I will show you some slides with some beautiful pictures, beautiful backgrounds from the Galapagos to give you an idea what is the Galapagos Islands as well. So this is Tagus Cove, located on Isabella Island in the west of Isabella, one of the most beautiful locations in the Galapagos. We have also, this is Sierra Negra volcano, located on Isabella Island, the island that have a seahorse shape, right? So you can see how beautiful is the landscape. This is the crater of Sierra Negra volcano. Then on this slide, you can see Punta Pit in the back, which is located on San Cristobal. This is the island where I live. This is the capital of the Galapagos Islands. So on this picture, I want to show you the beautiful of the Galapagos Islands, the different ecosystems that we have, starting by the intertidal area, mangrove forests, lava fields in the back, and ash formation as well. Other interesting location is Santiago Island, this lava field where marine iguanas occurs on this location. It's a beautiful place where we can spot marine life as well. So the Galapagos Islands also have unique animals, in this case reptiles. The 99% of the reptiles that we have in the Galapagos Islands are endemic. That means that they only occur on this location. And this is the case of the famous marine iguanas. We have also the icon animal from the Galapagos National Park, which is the giant tortoise, right? We can see this beautiful reptile in most of the islands, and also at the famous breeding centers like the Charles Darwin Center. And for sure, we have the charismatic sea lions, which is the species, let's say, that we're gonna find often during our journeys in the Galapagos Islands. See? And for sure, we have beautiful seabirds. We can see the beautiful blue-footed booby with a chick on Punta Pit on this location. Then we have also the famous Galapagos penguin, the only penguin that nests on the tropics. This is a location called Bartolomé Island, located in the south of Santiago Island. So this is the marine life that we can find in the Galapagos Islands, and for sure as well we have the frigate birds, we have the red-footed boobies, the most beautiful seabirds that you can find at the Galapagos Islands. But today I'm going to get more in detail in order to explain you about the Galapagos petrel, an endemic seabird to the Galapagos, which is considered critical and endangered due to the human impact in the Galapagos Islands, which is started 300 years ago. All right, so years ago, the Galapagos petrel used to be considered a subspecies from the Hawaiian petrel. Then, thanks to DNA analysis, this species become split. In the late 20th century, it became a species from the Galapagos Islands, an endemic species. So far, we know that there are between 10,000 and 20,000 individuals in the whole world, between 4 and 5 nests in the whole Galapagos Islands. All right, so on this slide, I want to show you the distribution of the nesting site of the Galapagos petrel. This seabird, it nests just on 5 islands from the big 13 islands that we have in the archipelago. Those 5 islands, they have an elevation more than 500 meters elevation. So the Galapagos petrel just nests on those islands that have more than that elevation. That is Santiago Island, Isabela Island, Floriana Island, San Cristobal Island as well, and Santa Cruz. In 4 of these islands, we have inhabitants: San Cristobal, Floriana, Isabela, and Santa Cruz. The only island where the petrel nests and there are no inhabitants, it is Santiago Island. All right. So here we have San Cristobal Island as well, and the distribution of the nests around the farm area, which is right on the highlands. So the Galapagos petrel, it is a seabird which use a technique of forage to fish, to find food, right? So the interesting of this seabird, it is the way that they use to find the food. They can take journeys that will reach locations far away from the Galapagos Islands, right? So thanks to new data, new information, we know that the Galapagos petrel can reach areas like the South America, which is Chile, Peru, where they go to fish while they are not during the breeding season. So this bird, it is endemic to the Galapagos Islands. They breed and nest in the Galapagos. They spend this part of their behavior in the Galapagos Islands. They are monogamous. They have a mate for whole life, and they have a behavior which is called philopatry. That means that they come back to the same nesting site every year, and the chicks as well, when they reach the adult stage, they use the same nesting site as well. So on this slide, you can see the highlands of San Cristobal Island, which is Miconia forest, an endemic plant to the Galapagos, which only occurs on 2 islands. So the Galapagos petrel, beside the nest, beside the fish in the pelagic ocean, they depend of the island, they nest on the highlands, and right here, where is the nesting side of them, we have the farms. So there is the problem that the Galapagos petrels are facing due to human activities. So the highlands of San Cristobal, it have the Miconia forest, which is the nesting site of the Galapagos petrel. We can see this beautiful landscape with this bush, the red one, which is the Miconia robinsoniana, the one that you can see around here. So to give you an idea how look the Galapagos petrel nest, they do not nest on the trees, they do not nest on an exposed area, for example, like the blue-footed booby that just use the sandy area to nest. These seabirds, they can build a burrow, can build a little tunnel, like the one that you can see here, on these kind of cliffs or valleys that we have on the highlands, thanks to the rain. Thanks to the erosion, we can have this unique formation on the highlands, and that is where the Galapagos petrel nests, underground. The nest can have a deep between half a meter till 2 meters deep, right? So that is the location of the Galapagos petrel nesting site. So also in some islands, they use this kind of lava tunnels where they are going to build a nest. They collect leaves, ferns, some little branches to adequate the nest during the exodus or romance stage that they have. All right, so here you can see a couple of Galapagos petrel on a nest on San Cristobal Highlands. As I mentioned before, this seabird, it have a behavior of monogamous. They have a mate for whole life, right? So they have a behavior of philopatry as well. So the chicks, after 5 years old, they come back to the same nesting site, to the same nesting area. They have only 1 egg per year. So they are, that is why also they are in critical endanger, because no new recruitment every year. So you can see a chick there on the nest. That is how the Galapagos petrel nest. You can see this crack or tunnel is where the chick spend 50 days before they fledge, before they leave the nest for the next 5 years. Another beautiful picture of a petrel nesting on this kind of tunnel on the highlands. See, so the Galapagos petrel, yes, is a seabird endemic to the Galapagos. It nests on the highlands, but there are some problems that they have here on the Galapagos as well, with invasive plants, with invasive animals, or the habitat loss. So here on this picture, we can see some volunteers from the Galapagos Science Center that were doing monitoring on the highlands in order to find new nesting sites to add to the plant management. There also we have some guava fruits and introduced fruit in Galapagos, which is now competing with the Miconia by the soil, by light, by nutrients on the highlands of San Cristobal. So other kind of forests where the Galapagos petrel nests and where they have problems with introduced plants, we have the red Kittenia tree, an introduced tree that is considered a pest on the highlands because it grows everywhere, which is causing the loss of the habitat for the Galapagos petrel. Guava fruit is growing everywhere on the highlands of Floriana, Santa Cruz, San Cristobal, and Isabela, and they are affecting the nesting site of the Galapagos petrel. They do not allow to the petrel to have a easy landing or to have open areas for landing. So other problem with the trees or introduced vegetation plants, it is the roots. On the roots of the trees. On this slide, we can see here a little tunnel, which is the nest of petrel. So the roots of this tree, they were growing around the tunnel or hole, let's say it, and the petrels were not allowed to get inside the nest, but also they were struggling with the branches. They were stuck on the branches. So the trees also are affecting the nest inside. The vegetation on the highlands, it is just ferns, little grass, but these trees, they are ripe with the humans and now they are affecting the nest inside. This tree, it shows roots like aerial spider webs, so like aerial roots, which is causing problems for the nest inside here. All right. We can see our Galapagos petrel there that was struggling with the roots of this tree. Sometimes they get stuck there and then can take off. So other problems that the Galapagos petrel is facing on the highlands is the black rat that we have on the highlands introduced around the 18th century in the Galapagos Islands. So the Galapagos National Park is doing control of rats using some poison on the highlands to avoid they feed on the eggs of the Galapagos petrel. Other kind of device to display the control of the rats. See, we can see sometimes feral cats, domestical cats that become feral and they are hunting around the Galapagos petrel nest. See. So after this kind of research monitorings that we did the highlands of San Cristobal, we start a study to find more data from the Galapagos petrel on this island. So we were doing some surveys, we were doing some tracking, we were collecting waypoints, collecting data about the nesting site of the Galapagos petrel on San Cristobal to understand better how health is the population. Because not till 2000 is when the Galapagos petrel on San Cristobal Island it become to start protected more. So prior to that, it used to be a plant management, but not good enough. So we were collecting data in order to show to the national park where there are new nesting sites. So we were looking for new nests on the highlands using GPS, trail cameras. We were taking volunteers, students, international students as well, in order to do environmental education on the highlands as well. We were working with farmers as well, doing campaigns to teach them why it's important to protect the Galapagos petrel on the highlands. So in order to find the nest, the new nesting site, we did have to do control of invasive plants, control of introduced guava, introduced blackberries, using machete, trying to find new nesting sites. So we were exploring the highlands, collecting data with the volunteers from the Galapagos Science Center. And after collecting the data, we were able to show to the national park the the distribution, sorry, of the nesting of the Galapagos petrels on the highlands. Here on this slide, we can see that they occupy the highest spot of the of San Cristobal, which have an elevation more than 500 meters elevation. Most of them are facing to the southeast, but lately we found some new nests in the northwest part of San Cristobal Islands. So that is where we are starting another project in the future in order to restore the nesting site in this area, because they're supposed to be many more abundant around the whole highlands prior the arrival of humans to the Galapagos. So also where they are facing, the pendiente, the slope, they are mostly facing to the southeast, which show a slope that the petrels use for landing. For example, they use the areas on the islands that have a slope more than 45 degrees, where the winds normally works through the year from the southeast in the Galapagos Islands, so they take advantage of the wind currents as well for landing. And then this is the nesting site on the highlands. You can see here a road, which is the main road on this island that locals use to get to the farms, to get to the farming area. And right there, where is farming lands, is where we have the nesting site. So there is the problem that petrels have with farming areas. Some other locations on the highlands into farming areas. So that is where the project needs to work, where the national park needs to do some more researches as well. So lately, we've been using trail cameras in the new location in order to spot more data, in order to have more data, in order to collect more information from the Galapagos petrel, to find if cats, rats are affecting as well all the nesting sites. We've been using trail cameras. We will also trying to display some other tools to find more information, like attractive device. But have a look here about rats as well affecting the nesting site of the Galapagos petrel. Cats as well are affecting. So thanks to the display of trail cameras, we can show to the national park the problem that Galapagos petrel have on the highlands. So other kind of projects that we've been doing with the Galapagos National Park, Galapagos Science Center, it is the banding of the petrel. We can learn more about the behavior of this endemic seabird. We can know more about the life spec, the movements, where they go. We can track them to find locations where they go to feed, where they go to find food, like for example, Chile, Peru, new information that can help to protect in a better way the Galapagos petrel, right? So this is the highlands of San Cristobal where we've been working with the Galapagos petrel. So part of the project as well is to know more about the health of the bird. So lately we've been collecting data more about the petrel. We've been taking samples to know more about the health. Lately, seabirds and marine life, due to microplastic, most of them are being affecting and start to have problems with the diet. So we are trying to find out if those species from the Galapagos Islands, they are having problem with microplastic as well. So in other locations, we start to build artificial nests in order to help to repopulate the islands with the Galapagos petrel, where we have information that they used to be, but thanks to the arrival of mammals to the Galapagos, they become critically in danger. Trail cameras trying to find if the artificial nest will be used, but according to information that we have from other islands where petrels nest as well, they will take a while. It will take a few years till the chicks come back to the same nesting site where they hatch. All right. So this is the location where we started the artificial nest on the highlands of San Cristobal. We can see the town down here, but all this area is where we are going to start to build artificial nests on the highlands. All right. So as a summary, the Galapagos petrel is considered critically endangered due to the arrival of new species like rats, cats, dogs as well. Pigs are affecting the nesting site as well. They like to feed on the eggs of the Galapagos petrel. So that is another problem for them. We have the introduced species like plants like blackberries, guava. This kind of vegetation also is affecting the Galapagos petrel. Farms are affecting as well the nesting site, the loss of the habitat, the arrival of new plants due to the needs of locals also is affecting this seabird. But there is hope thanks to this kind of research or projects that is starting on this island, starting at the Galapagos Islands. We want to help to repopulate the highlands with the Galapagos petrels. It is necessary to keep working doing the control of introduced species like mammals and plants in order to help to restore the habitat of the Galapagos petrel. So also it is very important to environmental education at the islands with the new generations, with the kids, in this case at the schools, in order to teach them why it's so important to protect not just the Galapagos petrel, all of the endemic and native species that we have on this archipelago that are unique. So it is very important to start as soon as possible with the new generations that we have coming at the Galapagos Islands. All right. So this is kind of what we've been doing here at the Galapagos Islands with the Galapagos petrel, this endemic seabird, which is facing problems due to human impact in the Galapagos Islands. All right. I would like to know if there is any questions.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. That was so just so informative. So much information there. We do have a bunch of questions that we will jump into. The first one is, why did the picture of the Galapagos tortoise in the beginning have its legs lying down? It looked like it could not support its weight. Can you explain what was happening in that image?
All right, let me go back. Yes, very good observation. Um, the behavior of the reptiles, it is to warming up. That picture was I took basically one of the journeys in the back of Isabella. Yes, it was a little bit of rainy, so it was like a warming up, right? They have a very low metabolism, so the tortoise, iguanas, and some reptiles, they take advantage of the sunlight or the heat to warming up, and then they continue moving. So this tortoise, giant tortoise, it was on an open gap, trying to get some heat, trying to get some sunlight. So the legs, the arms are outside, the neck outside, trying to get some more surface, right? Trying to get more heat, more sunlight as is possible.
Mm.
But yes, sometimes after they've been walking a few meters, right, they rest. They sit down, but not in that way. In that case, the tortoise was warming up.
How interesting.
Mhm.
Can you remind us how many Galapagos petrels there currently are?
Yes, sure. We have a population between 10 and 20,000 petrels in the Galapagos, but no more than 5,000 nests. The 5,000 nests, they are distributed. They are between 5 islands mainly, right? So that is why they are considered endangered. There are no many nests around the early 20th century. when whalers, sorry, not whalers, other people used to come to Galapagos, like the Scientists Academy of California in the early 20th century. They came to the Galapagos Islands, and they spot a bunch of pigs on Santiago Island. So also information from hunters. They said, you know, here before the creation of the national park in 1959, the locals used to go to hunt for food, for feeding. So they used to hunt pigs. So the locals said that the pig tastes like a fish. They taste fishy because the pigs were feeding on the chicks of the petrel on the highlands. So it used to be many more. They used to be so abundant in the Galapagos Islands. This bird come back to the nest late in the afternoon, and used to be able to watch many of them, but the population has been decreasing. I get interested with the Galapagos petrels since I am a child. I born and raised in the Galapagos Islands, and my grandfather is a farmer, so he always told me about this bird by the farm because he spent most of his life on the highlands. So we used to go there, and since then I have memory of the petrels. So my grandfather said, and other people said there used to be many more, but thanks to cats, domestic cats, the population is decreasing a lot. And that is why it's critically endangered. Mhm.
Mm. Well, that leads into our next question. Are outdoor cats common in the Galapagos? And do people know they are dangerous for petrels and nesting birds?
Well, we know that they are bad for every native species here. There are laws in the Galapagos Islands that say that you are allowed to have your cat, but they have to be indoor. You have to have like a bell, you know, to scare the lizards, finches, the live. But it needs to be a little bit more truthful, right? And we need a little bit more of education because not everybody is worried enough for the Galapagos Islands. So some of us, yes, we take care, we have our pets indoor, but not everybody is doing it. But the problem is not just now. The problem it started many years ago, and now domestical cats become feral, and they are everywhere on the islands, on all the islands with inhabitants. Yeah, so it is a problem cats here, but they should be inside the
Mm.
house, right?
Can some designated areas be fenced off and non-native species removed from those areas, as is happening in some New Zealand islands?
Sorry, can you repeat me the question? The first part I was like I interrupt. I couldn't
No worries.
understand.
So the question is, would it be possible to clear the non-native species from designated areas and fence them off? Apparently, this is happening in New Zealand.
Right, you are right, absolutely right. It's starting. Some private lands are starting to do that. They are chopping down all the introduced plants, and they are doing the control of rats and cats, but those in private lands, right? The farms, they need a link or a deal with the national park. But something interesting that I would like to mention is the project that is happening on Floriana Island, right? They are doing a big project there in order to eradicate the rats and cats that are feral there. So they are using helicopters to spread out the poison on the island. So that is just happening now on the Galapagos Islands, a big project, right? But on this island, San Cristobal is starting leader by leader. Santa Cruz Island, where is another nesting location, as its national park, it have a good control. The population is in good health. The data that I show you, it is based on San Cristobal Island, where the the work to protect the petrel started just in the 2000, for example. See, so here is where we need to work more in detail, more hard, I would say.
Mm. Um, in your opinion or experience, how much power does the national park have over agricultural areas? What's the relationship there?
Well, none, to be honest, not much control because it's private. They can have a deal, or they can, for example, have if some farms have Galapagos petrel, the Galapagos National Park can help the farmers to protect the petrels into there. If is the case, the national park can take control of that land, and the farmer will have another land in other area. If that makes sense, like they give you another location and you give the Galapagos petrel nesting site to the national park. But directly, no, they have to have a deal, a project first of all.
Hmm,
Mhm.
okay. This is a two-parter. Is the petrel a type of seagull?
No,
Okay.
petrel is in the group of the tooth nose, which is albatross, petrels, and shearwaters.
Okay.
uh,
And
Albatrosses.
are the predatory cats on the island just ordinary domesticated cats, or are they a different variety of feline?
No, domestic cats that arrive to the Galapagos as pets, and then because the lack of control from locals, they become feral. Before, it was no campaigns to sterilize your pets in the Galapagos. That is late in the last 10, I will say 10, 12, no more than 15 years ago is when you were able to sterilize your pet in the Galapagos. So prior to that, it was no control. Even around the 70s, it was a problem with dogs. The feral dogs, domestical dogs, they were affecting the giant tortoise population on Santa Cruz Island, and also the endemic land iguana on Santa Cruz Island. So prior to that, there was no control, but now you can sterilize your pets.
Hmm. Has the current El Nino affected the seabirds and their activity that you've witnessed? And do you think it will as it continues the next few months?
Right. Yes, what we have seen so far in the Galapagos, we have a problem with avian flu. Some locations being closed. We are not allowed to go there. And I have seen in the last month dead seabirds by the shore and the water. So that is one thing. And then about El Nino, this year, particularly this year, we did not have cold water, which is La Nina. It was warm all year around. And I was going to Española Island to see the webbed albatross, and we saw a highly number of abandoned eggs as well than other years. So due to the warm temperatures of the ocean, probably the webbed albatross were doing longer journeys to fish. So that is why we have a highly number of abandoned eggs, or more, or the because the lack of food as well, right? Because they come just to nest to the Galapagos, but if the ocean around the Galapagos is warm, they won't be able to have the chick. So what I have seen this year is, yes, it's affecting. And according to predictions that we have for the next month, this Nino is going to be very strong. It's going to affect not just seabirds, it's going to affect iguanas, sea lions, right? And the few remains of corals that we have in the Galapagos.
Hmm.
So it's going to be a problem, and according to predictions, yes, we will have the marine life is going to be struggling this year.
Hmm. Where do the petrels live when they are not nesting?
When they are not nesting, according to information, they leave the Galapagos Islands. They can be floating in the ocean. They are common to see outside the archipelago around 20 nautical miles. They can go 5,000 kilometers away as well from the shore. And not just the petrel, Other endemic seabirds from the Galapagos do that. They leave the Galapagos Islands for 6 months. When they are adults, they come back for nesting for the 6 months, and they can be floating in the ocean. They have like a double layer of feathers that allows them to be floating in the cold water and cold temperatures, which is Chile, Peru. So then when there is the breeding season, they come back to the Galapagos at the time that the ocean is supposed to be cold again. So they breed when the ocean is cold, and it's gonna help the chicks to have abundant food.
Hmm. Um, won't spraying poison to eliminate non-native species cause more problems down the road in terms of killing native species?
Sorry,
You want
saying?
to say that one again? So the
Yes, please.
question, yeah, the question has to do with the cost benefit ratio of using poison to
Yeah.
eliminate non-native species. Is that gonna help, or in the long term, is that just gonna kill more native species?
Right. And first of all, they are the national park is not doing that way the control of invasive species. And good point. The only way how the national park is controlling invasive plants, invasive species is doing hand control, hand machete. There are studies where they are looking for to do biological control. That means that they are going to use another kind of fungus to kill the introduced plants, like blackberries, for example, but no using chemicals or pesticides.
Mhm. Okay. Well, that is the last question we have today. So I will turn it back to you for some closing comments.
All right. Yes. Thank you so much for your attention. I'm so happy to be able to talk to you a little bit from the Galapagos Islands, a little bit about the Galapagos Petrel, about the project, the National Park, Galapagos Science Center is doing to protect this species. And I would like also to mention that the project will continue in order to protect not just the population from San Cristobal, it's going to protect the rest of the nesting site in the whole Galapagos. And well, just to say, I invite you to come to the Galapagos Islands and visit this beautiful archipelago, the beautiful national park. I will be more than happy to have you here. Thank you so much for your attention.
Well, Jonathan, thank you again for your thorough, informative presentation. I really learned a lot, and it made me want to return to the Galapagos. It's one of the most magical places I have ever gotten the chance to see. So I'm really jealous that you get to work there and live there, and
Go to
and I
visit us,
appreciate
please.
and I appreciate the work that you're doing. So thank you again for sharing it with us. I also want to
Thank you
thank
for the
everybody.
opportunity.
Absolutely. Thanks everybody who tuned in today. Please join us again tomorrow for our next daily dose of nature. You can check out this week's lineup, including registration links, on our website at nadhab.com/webinars. We did record today's presentation, and we will have the replay available on our website soon. With that, we'll conclude the webinar. Have a wonderful day, everyone.